So, Naughty Dog are working on The Last of Us remake, and the internet is asking, why, oh why, oh why, oh why, oh why? So, Jason Schreier, formerly Kotaku, now Bloomberg, has revealed Sony's first-party studio, Naughty Dog, are actively working on The Last of Us remake. Yes, remake, not remaster as seen with the PS4 version of the original 2013 PS3 release. However, many contributors, media, social media, general fans of the series alike, are asking, why? I mean, The Last of Us isn't old enough for a remake for a start, and I think most PlayStation gamers would rather see resources put into a new IP, or at least a remake of a true classic. Jak and Daxter, anybody? Now, according to Jason Schreier's Bloomberg report, all is not well, as it seems, at Sony Interactive Entertainment, particularly among the studios. Apparently there's infighting. Here's a quote. So, Sony's Visual Arts Service Group, VASG, has been the silent creative to many hit PlayStation video games. The San Diego-based team tasked with helping to finish off games designed by other Sony-owned studios with animation, art, or other content and development, though 3 years ago a handful of influential figures within the Visual Arts Service Group decided they wanted to have more creative control and lead game direction, rather than being a glorified extra or support staff to AAA Sony studios creating the likes of the Uncharted or Spider-Man. Now, here's the key issue. Michael Mumbauer, who founded the Visual Arts Service Group back in 2007, recruited a group of around 30 developers internally and from neighboring game studios to form a new development unit within Sony. Now, the idea was to expand upon some of the company's most successful franchises, and the team began working on a remake of the 2013 hit The Last of Us for the PlayStation 5. Sony has never fully acknowledged the team's existence or have given it the necessary funding and support needed to succeed in the highly competitive video game market, according to those involved. And bizarrely, this studio didn't even get its own name. Now, in a true slap-to-the-face move, Sony transferred ownership of The Last of Us remake to its original creator, Naughty Dog, another Sony-owned studio behind many of the company's best-selling games and a HBO television series currently in development. Now, incidentally, Sony Pictures has recently struck a deal with Netflix to stream its movies to the service. So take that, Disney Plus. But obviously demoralized and royally pissed off and completely deflated by Sony's actions, the group's leadership has largely disbanded. This according to interviews with 8 people familiar with the operation, many including Mumbauer have left the company entirely. Now, Mumbauer declined to comment, and really, others asked not to be named discussing private information, and a representative for Sony naturally declined to comment. But this isn't looking too good for Sony, is it? Particularly when you consider all the goodwill Microsoft is generating at the moment with Game Pass and Back Compat and its willingness to preserve legacy software. Meanwhile, Sony is adding new games such as Marvel's Avengers to its PlayStation Now service, but have decided to lock users out of the free PlayStation 5 upgrades. You literally only get to play the PS4 version on your PS5, or if you excuse the pun, you have to pony up the cash for the PS5 version of the game. Bear in mind, the PS5 upgrades are completely free. As if that wasn't bad enough, Sony seemed to really give 2 fingers up about its own PlayStation 1, 2 and 3 legacy titles, since it has announced it is closing that aspect of the PlayStation Store, meaning you can no longer purchase those games, not to mention pissing off a bunch of PlayStation Vita developers in the process. So the Japanese conglomerate owns about a dozen studios across the world as part of its PlayStation Studios label, but in recent years it has prioritized games made by its most successful developers, which kind of makes sense, but there's a caveat. Studios such as Santa Monica, California-based Naughty Dog and Amsterdam-based Guerrilla Games spend tens of millions of dollars to make games with the expectation that the investments will pay off exponentially, and they usually do. Hits that include 2018's God of War and 2020's The Last of Us Part 2 are exclusive to PlayStation consoles, helping Sony sell around 140 million of the PS4. Now, rival Microsoft has taken the opposite approach, relying on a wide array of studios to feed its Netflix-like subscription service, Xbox Game Pass, which allows users to pay a monthly fee for unlimited access to a variety of games. Now, Sony's focus on exclusive blockbusters has come at the expense of these niche teams and studios within the PlayStation organization, leading to high turnover and less choice for players. So last week, Sony reorganized the development office in Japan, resulting in mass departures of people who work on really less known but acclaimed games such as Gravity Rush and Everybody's Golf. The company has informed developers that it no longer wants to produce smaller games that are only successful in Japan, Bloomberg has reported. Apparently, there is a state of unrest also between Sony PlayStation studio teams. Oregon-based Sony Bend Studio, best known for 2019 open-world action game Days Gone, tried unsuccessfully to pitch a sequel last year. Now, according to people familiar with the proposal, although the first game had been profitable, its development had been lengthy and critical reception was mixed. So a Days Gone 2 wasn't seen as a viable option. Instead, one team at the studio was assigned to help Naughty Dog with a multiplayer game, while a second group was assigned to work on the new Uncharted game with supervision from Naughty Dog. Some staff, including top leads, were unhappy with this arrangement and subsequently left. Bend's developers feared they might be absorbed into Naughty Dog, and the studio's leadership asked to be taken off the Uncharted project. They got their wish last month and are now working on a new game of their own, although is it Days Gone 2? Probably not. I remember a familiar, actually a similar situation with Team Evolution, developers of MotorStorm, Drive Club, and to some extent Dirt 5. Sony are coming off like X Factor's Simon Cowell. If you don't have an immediate hit and, you know, the best acclaim, critical acclaim, the studio is shut down, put on ice, or integrated into supporting roles. Extras. Ricky Gervais. Excellent series. But I digress. So now we have the backstory back to The Last of Us remake PS5, and add to that a new Uncharted game, and yeah, a lot of clues in this report. Now, for their first solo project, Mumbai and his crew wanted to pitch something that would be really well received by their bosses at Sony. Recognizing the risks and expense involved with developing a new game from scratch, they decided to focus on remaking older games for the new PlayStation 5. And you remember I used to tweet back, so I think it was last year or the year before that Sony were investing in, revitalizing PlayStation classics. Well, this kind of leans into that somewhat. So they decided to focus on remaking older games for the new PlayStation 5, and remakes really are considered a safe bet, since it's cheaper to update and polish an old game than really to start from scratch, and it can be sold both to nostalgic old fans and the curious new ones, particularly if the game was a big seller to begin with. Now, the team originally planned on a remake for the first Uncharted game released by Naughty Dog back in 2007. That idea quickly fizzled out because it would be really expensive and required too much added design work. Instead, the team settled on a remake of Naughty Dog's 2013 melancholic zombie hit, The Last of Us. Now, the original idea or pitch was that Mumbai and his team would remake The Last of Us, then remake the first Uncharted game and other classic Sony IP later down the road. Instead, Sony approved and code-named the remake Project T1X, kept the team's existence a secret, and refused to give them a budget to go hire staff, leading many to wonder if the company was really committed to letting them really build a new team or studio. Still, the small team kept working, and by spring of 2019, they had completed a section of the game designed to showcase how the rest would feel and look, a vertical slice if you will. Now, long story short, Project T1X, now known to be The Last of Us remake, is now with Naughty Dog, and a bunch of people have quit or moved on from Sony because of it. Interesting stuff, and doesn't really paint Sony in the best light, does it? Look, here's my thing. I'm a long-time PlayStation gamer. Since launch day of PlayStation 1 back in 1994, yes, I'm that old, so no doubt I really dig PlayStation games, but this is kind of indefensible. It's the kind of cloak and dagger type stuff we know goes on in the industry but rarely hear about. Thank goodness for whistleblowers. And why oh why are Naughty Dog working on the remake? It's the very thing a support studio or port studio, remake studio should be working on. Bluepoint Games, hello. I'm pretty sure most of us want a new IP, a sci-fi game like the rumoured Savage Starlight, or give us another Uncharted spin-off, or revive Jak and Daxter. Perhaps Naughty Dog is big enough as two separate teams to achieve both or all at some point, but seriously, who's asking for The Last of Us remake already? If somehow the game is a remake in the sense that Final Fantasy VII was a remake, like key changes to the plot and further character development, then I could be persuaded. I also think Sony need to get its house in order. Microsoft is making the current PlayStation management look like amateur hour. There's even growing rumours that Kojima and Xbox may work together on an exclusive Xbox IP, and Xbox has penciled three Xbox focused events over the coming months. PlayStation 5 exclusive Deathloop delayed though. When are we going to get some good news, Sony? I really hope Sony are not falling into complacency. They've been the leading dedicated home console for decades, and we all know how they have messed up in the past while being on top. It's life, Jim, but not as we know it. But I'm starting to miss Andrew House and Sean Layden. Though what say you? Go ahead, sound off, share your thoughts and opinions on today's video, because that unfortunately brings us to the end. But let's continue the discussion cordially in the comments, and for your gaming news, rumour, plausible speculation and discussion, hit the like button, of course subscribe, hit the notification bell, and help us reach like-minded gamers, so please feel free to share the video. Consider supporting Foxy Games UK via Patreon. You'll find a link in the video's description. Thank you for the extra support. That concludes our time together today. Thanks for hanging out. Until next time, enjoy the weekend, and always remember, play games, not corporations.